Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about arguably the four most famous oolongs in the world and what makes them different and why you should try them out. Now before we begin, I highly recommend you check out our back catalog of episodes, and especially the ones that have to do with oolong tea, and I'll make sure I put some that are germane up here. So oolong tea, in short, it's one of the 6 classes of tea. I've mentioned in past episodes that it's arguably my favorite category of tea. Like if I had to be stuck drinking only one category of tea my whole life, and let's just throw in tisane/herbals. So 7 choices, I would pick oolong. And the reason for that is that you get the widest variety of taste with oolong. Also, you look at the visual component of oolongs. Oolongs can come in different shapes and sizes, so can green as well. But the way that the leaves unfurl, because typically oolong is plucked lower in the Camellia sinensis plant than the green teas are, you get bigger leaves. There's more craftsmanship in the way that they are rolled, and then the taste profile is just radically different. And the other thing about oolong, as we've talked before, is oolong is, out of all the 6 categories of tea, it's the one that you can re-steep the most. So let's just get to it. What are the 4 most famous? And I'm going to talk about kind of like from most oxidized to least, because with oolong, you can go anywhere from 80 to 90 down to about 30% oxidized or broken down. Of course, the more oxidized it is, the darker the liquor is going to be and the more robust the taste is going to be, the lighter the oxidation. It's going to taste more, typically lighter, more floral, and more like whites, yellows, and greens. So let's just get to it. We're going to do Royal Red Robe. Royal Red Robe is from China. It's from one of the most famous regions of tea producing, Fujian province. And Royal Red Robe is one of the most oxidized. It's 80% oxidized, and it kind of has like an open, creepy leaf look to it. And its liquor is kind of a golden amber, and it looks like a black tea. Remember, in China, they call black tea red tea, because over there they look at the liquor, depending if you're English, liquor. You look at the liquor, and the liquor looks more red. So typically Royal Red Robe is going to be looking and almost tasting like a black tea because of the oxidation. But it is one of the most famous ones. And again, Fujian province, if you want a really strongly oxidized oolong, that is up there in the top 4. Number 2, and again, these are not really in order of like my preferences. They're just order mostly from most to least oxidized. Number 2 is going to be Oriental Beauty. This is also known as Formosa Fancy Silver Tips. It has a bunch of names. And Oriental Beauty is a very unique one because this is the one that it oxidizes whilst on the leaf. There's a leafhopper insect that starts nibbling on it, and because it's nibbling on it, the leaves respond by oxidizing and makes the tips of these leaves, while it's still on the leaf, turn kind of silver and white. And so Oriental Beauty begins oxidation while it's on the plant. And for this reason, one of the reasons, it is one of the most famous oolongs in the world. As the name would suggest, with Formosa, silvertip, Formosa is the island name of Taiwan. So this is grown in Taiwan. Oxidation ranges from 45 to 60%. Typically, it is open folded leaf in terms of like how it's rolled, and it has a very sweet, fresh stone fruit taste to it. Its liqueur is going to be lighter than Royal Red Robe because, again, it's less oxidized. And I would tell you, Oriental Beauty, which is one of the teas that we sell, is really good with like savory, like salty foods or kind of sweet foods. We really don't talk about like drinking teas with food, but a lot of people do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's really good with savory and salty food. And I've talked about before how like the taste of Oriental Beauty is, to me, very akin to Second Flush Black Darjeeling, which has that muscatel or grape taste. And so when you drink an Oriental Beauty and you drink a Second Flush Darjeeling, to me the tastes are pretty similar, I would say. Number 3 is going to be Iron Goddess of Mercy. This is a very famous tea. This goes back to China. This is from Anxi province. So this is going to be Taiguan, or we'll just say Iron Goddess of Mercy. So this tea we also sell, we call it Black Dragon, is a middle oxidized tea. This is going to be 60% oxidized, roughly in that area. And these are going to be folded leaf or ball roll, depending on which one you have. Ours is more folded leaf. And again, very stone fruity taste, similar to Oriental Beauty. Kind of has a golden amber liqueur. And it's sometimes called monkey picked oolong. And it's just grown in that Anxi province that's very famous for oolongs, one of the most famous regions for growing oolongs over in China. And it just has a very rich and smooth and aromatic kind of brew. And it's just great. It's one of those great that you can re-steep. And the last one we're going to talk about is Frozen Peak. Frozen Peak, otherwise known as Dongding. It's a great, really good Oriental. And this is, as I said, really good oolong. This is a more lightly oxidized oolong, so this could be 30 to 40%. This is going to be from Taiwan, and it's going to be grown pretty high up in Taiwan. It's very similar to Alishan, another high mountain, really well-known oolong. But Dongding is just amazingly good. Now, typically Dongding is going to be rolled up, and it just has a very floral taste to it. We do have this one. We do sell Frozen Peak, and we also sell Magnolia Oolong, which is more of an aromatic kind of oolong. Both of them have a very floral taste to it, and it's just great. I mean, it's a very good oolong. It's also called Orchid Oolong, and it's probably the most famous oolong. No, I wouldn't even say it's question. It's probably the national oolong drink of Taiwan, and it's just amazingly good and just very aromatic and very smooth, sweet, and soft. So in closing, you got Royal Red Robe, you got Oriental Beauty, you got Iron Goddess of Mercy, and you got Dongding, otherwise known as Tungting, otherwise known as Frozen Peak. And we do sell at least 3 of these. We might sell Royal Red Robe. We'll see if people ask for it. But we thought it was important to sell a lot of oolongs because oolongs, as I mentioned, I just think are probably the best category of tea. And on one level, and I talked about on my trip to Europe, how you don't see a lot of oolongs at the grocery store because oolongs require a lot of processing. And there's a lot of craftsmanship and artisanship when it comes to having to bruise the tea leaves to get to that middle oxidation. Whereas green tea is kill green pretty quickly, and black tea is 100%. So you can see, like with green and black, it doesn't take as much craftsmanship, not to take away from either of those. But when you're 0% or 100%, there's no middle ground. Whereas with oolong, depending on the tea master and what they're aiming for, to get it set around 40 to 45% oxidized or 60% oxidized, they have to know exactly what they're doing to stop the oxidation process. And so if you look at the taste profile, you look at the balls, like that they're typically grown in. As we talked about with Dongding, it's famously, they come in these little balls, same for Alishan. It's just a great tea. So I would check these out if you come visit us at the store or buy online. Guys, post in the comments, what's your history with oolong? Until next time, take care and God bless.